Welcome to English Storytime Adventures. In today's video, we're going to listen to an exciting short story that will help you improve your English skills. Listen carefully and follow along with the subtitles. Before we begin, here are some key words you'll hear in the story. Pay attention to their meaning and try to use them in your own sentences later.
Input, information, advice, or resources that are given to someone to use or consider. Merely, just, only. Impart, to give, convey, or share something such as knowledge, wisdom, or information. Forfeit, to lose or give up something, usually as a consequence of some decision or action.
Now that you're familiar with these words, let's begin the story.
Samir was only 12 when his life changed forever. Living in the slums of a crowded city, his days were filled with noise, dust, and hunger. His family had little to live on, but they did their best to get by. His father worked as a laborer, and his mother sold food in the market. Samir, being the eldest, often skipped school to help his parents. One morning, Samir went to the market with his mother. It was a typical day, full of bargaining and shouting, but something felt different to Samir. He noticed a group of children, his age, walking to school, chatting and laughing. They wore uniforms and carried books, something Samir had never had. His chest tightened with longing. He wanted to be more than merely a boy from the streets. That night, Samir sat with his father, who looked exhausted after a long day of work. Samir hesitated, but finally asked, "Why can't I go to school like the other children?" His father sighed deeply and said, "Son, we don't have enough money. You see, if you go to school, we'll have to forfeit some meals. Life is tough, and sometimes we must make hard choices." Samir understood, but the dream of school didn't leave his mind. He couldn't stop thinking about it. The next day, while wandering the market, Samir met an old man selling books from a small stand. His wrinkled face was kind, and his eyes sparkled with knowledge. Curious, Samir approached him. "Are you interested in books?" the old man asked, smiling. "I've never had one before," Samir replied shyly. "I can't read well." The old man nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Books can impart knowledge and wisdom, my boy. Reading can open doors to new worlds. But it takes effort, and you must be willing to learn. Are you?" Samir's heart raced. "Yes, I want to learn." The old man handed him a small, tattered book. "This is just the input you need to start. But remember, reading is merely the beginning. What you do with the knowledge is what truly matters." Samir took the book gratefully and thanked the man. He spent the next few weeks teaching himself to read. Slowly, he got better. Words that were once a mystery started to make sense, and the stories in the book came alive. As Samir's reading improved, so did his desire for more. He would sit under a street lamp late into the night, reading the book again and again. He knew his life could be different if he worked hard enough. He even began helping his younger siblings with their homework, sharing what he learned. But one day, his father grew sick. Without his father's income, the family struggled even more. Samir's dream of school felt further away. The family had to forfeit many things just to survive. His mother asked him to work full-time at the market. Samir felt torn. If he worked, his family could eat. If he didn't, they would suffer. Yet he didn't want to give up his dream of learning. The old man from the bookstand appeared in the market again one day, noticing Samir's troubled expression. "What weighs on your mind, boy?" he asked. Samir explained his situation. The old man listened carefully, then said, "Remember what I told you. The knowledge you gain can be imparted to others. You don't need a classroom to learn, and you don't need to give up your dream. Sometimes life asks you to work harder, but don't forfeit your future in the process. Samir nodded, feeling the weight of the man's words. Determined not to give up, Samir decided to balance both work and learning. He continued reading, saving every penny he earned at the market to buy more books. He would share what he learned with anyone who listened, especially his siblings, knowing that the knowledge he gained was not just for himself, but for his family too. Years passed, and Samir's hard work paid off. He found a job as a teacher's assistant in a local school. Though he had never attended formal classes, his reading skills and wisdom impressed the teachers. Samir began imparting his knowledge to the students, helping them understand the world beyond the slums. Though life was still difficult, Samir never regretted the sacrifices he made. He knew that his dream was worth the struggle. His family was proud of him, and Samir had found a path that allowed him to balance both work and learning. He had learned that sometimes the greatest lessons come not from what you gain, but from what you give.
Great job following along with the story. Now, let's review the key words we learned today.
Input, information, advice, or resources that are given to someone to use or consider. Example from the story. This is just the input you need to start, the old man said as he handed Samir the book. Merely, just, only. Example from the story. Samir didn't want to be merely a boy from the streets. Impart, to give, convey, or share something such as knowledge, wisdom, or information. Example from the story. Books can impart knowledge and wisdom, my boy, the old man said. Forfeit, to lose or give up something, usually as a consequence of some decision or action. Example from the story. Without his father's income, the family had to forfeit many things just to survive.
Now, let's check your understanding of the story. See if you can answer these questions.
Question 1. Who helped Samir in his journey to learn, and what advice did they give him? Question 2. Can you think of another word to describe Samir's desire to learn other than dream?
Feel free to pause the video and write down your answers in the comments. Great work today. Well done. You've just completed another story with English Storytime Adventures. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more fun and educational stories. And don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts or answers to the questions. I'd love to see how much you've learned. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next episode of English Storytime Adventures. Until then, happy learning.